So do you think the role of conscience with Lady Macbeth, and we'll talk about Macbeth as well, but that her conscience, the reality of conscience, is at play there?
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that, bad, sick deeds make us sicker, they make us feel worse. Um,
Strange bedfellows.
exactly. They make strange bedfellows, and we ally ourselves with really quite scary. We can end up allying ourselves with worse and worse characters as a result. And we see that happen actually by the end of the play, which I don't want to jump the gun or anything, but we do have a character who doesn't appear till near the end of the play in Act 5, Scene 3, whose name is spelled Seyton and pronounced Satan. So he's actually hanging out with Satan by the end of the play, which is frightening. But he's also called upon people who are just labeled in the text as murderers, to go kill Banquo and to go kill Lady Macduff and her children. And it's just that he gets further and further away too from his moral center, who is Banquo. He gets less and less connected to him and more connected to these other very shady characters.
Mm-hmm. So the role of paying attention to conscience and really, throughout Shakespeare, it really is the concern for the other versus concern for itself. So it seems because, Malcolm, Macduff, they have more concern for other, i.e. Scotland and the people of Scotland, whereas those two, Lady Macbeth and Macbeth, have more concern for themselves. So a juxtaposition that Shakespeare constantly seems to be painting throughout all of his plays.
Yes, I agree with that. Human connection is the foundation of the ethos of a lot of the plays. It's a lot of it is just about how do you treat individual other people? How do you act as a leader? How do you reflect, decency and kindness?
Yeah.
And
How do you common decency towards others?
Sorry. I think that you could say that Macbeth is almost like an inverted morality play, or a morality play in which we get to see the everman, that is the main character in the morality play, who is supposed to go through all these temptations and also try to gain salvation, that instead of doing those things, he's seeking out the evil angels, the vices, and going that way. And then we see what happens when you do that, which is destruction and the loss of any chance that your children would ever succeed you on the throne, right? So yeah, what were you going to say? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I forgot. I think just basically the to be kind, the kindness, right?
Yes.
Lady Macbeth constantly refers to kindness, the milk of kindness. And so, so just that simple quality is, I think it's.
And compare that, and compare, like, thinking about that beautiful impulse in some people to do the kind thing, and comparing it to what she says at the beginning, which is, I have given suck to babies and I would dash their brains out if I had said that I was going to dash their brains out. So why aren't you going to kill Duncan when you said you were going to kill I mean, she is hard, right? She is frightening. And there are all those references to infanticide throughout the play that sort of repeatedly give us the heebie-jeebies and also just put us on guard. like there are not good things happening in this play.
What symbol do you think that the infant plays for Lady Macbeth? What lack of, because she's not a mother, correct? They have no children.
They don't, and that's why that's such a curious line. It's one of the maybe it's an inconsistency in the play, but maybe it's also intentional by Shakespeare. What did happen if she had children? Did she kill them? they have no children, but she says, "I have given suck." So
Mhm.
so whose baby has she nursed, if
Mhm.
not her own? And what happened to that baby? And then you also have the witches talking about dead baby parts, and when they're making their cauldron of stuff. So so it's deeply disturbing. And so what I think infants represent innocence in the play, and that Lady Macbeth is all too willing to murder innocence itself, uh,
Mhm.
and that the witches use the figures that the witches call up when Macbeth revisits them. Some of them are babies, a
Mhm.
bloody child, a baby with a crown on its head. I mean, these very strange, and they seem out of place images of infants. And then, of course, Macduff's family, the children murdered there. So it's no wonder, based on all this murder and mayhem, that this play is considered in theatrical circles to be cursed, because it it doesn't keep us feeling very safe in the audience. And there's the folklore that could fill volumes about mishaps in the theater, and actors walking off the stage by accident and hurting themselves badly, and actual murders on the stage. So it's a play that opens up and conjures up, I think, forces that, whether they are actual spiritual forces or just metaphorical forces of disorder, uh, it does that to enough of an extent that it's deeply frightening. Actually,
Mhm.
still deeply frightening, even after we've all watched all of the very scary Halloween movies and everything else that's out there in the horror genre. This is the most horrific
Mhm.
story that I've ever read.
Mhm. Mhm. Shakespeare in Renaissance, Cupid, right? Cupid is represented, love is represented as the baby.
Mhm,
A reading
mhm.
could the constant killing of love, the constant.
Yes. Yes, that's good. I like that. I like that as a reading, and I never had thought of it. But there are all these references in the Renaissance to the child, right? The
Mhm.
child Cupid, and blind Cupid, and that little guy sort of causing trouble for people, but at the same time representing love and being able to get people to fall in love. So
Mhm.
sure, sure.
And Lady Macbeth's suffering seems to be manifest through conscience, and it manifests physically,
Yes.
whereas it seems Macbeth suffers more in imagination.
I think so. I think he can scare himself quite well with what his imaginations are, and he in fact builds some pretty amazing metaphors as he's talking about his moral decline, and one of them being that I am steeped in blood so far that to return were as difficult to go over, right?
And my mind is filled with scorpions.
Yes, my mind is filled. I mean, that is such an astonishingly striking way to describe guilt and and paranoia, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a conversation that occurs between Lady Macduff and her son,
Yes.
and it seems to be a Shakespearean trope that the answer to the moral problem is kind of happens in what is seemingly an insignificant conversation.
Yes. I think I know what you mean by that. Um, with Lady Macduff talking to the boy
Mhm.
who says something like, I think what you're referring to is when he says, if all the people who were liars were hung, that would be everybody.
So it's
Is
in
that
that yep, it's in that conversation, and I do have it here,
okay?
and I'm going to skip some lines, but basically she says to Lady Macduff says to the boy, now that Macduff has absconded, according to
Mhm.
her, how will you live? And then skipping a line, the son says, with what I get, I mean. And so do they. The birds live with what they get.
Right.
Do you think Shakespeare is saying through the boy there that what Macbeth should have done is to been content with what was given to him? And the word mean can also mean middle, right? It can be moderate or moderation. So
Right.
do you think Shakespeare is kind of in that seemingly insignificant conversation? He may be saying, oh, here's actually there are many answers to the play. That's one of the most significant answers to the play, perhaps.
I agree, and had not thought about it in those terms. I think that is a great reading of that segment. It's certainly there's a lot in that conversation between the two,
There is.
between the boy and his mother, and this strange insistence to me. To me, the thing that stands out there is actually the strange insistence that she has that your father's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Telling him your father's dead and gone, don't, and I think that I don't know why she says that. It seems really cruel. But maybe it's a way of preparing him for being separated from his father for a long, long time in death. I don't know. But so yeah, that is a really curious section. And it does call up that gospel where they say what I think Christ says, how do the birds worry? Did the birds worry about where no, they're provided for. The Lord provides for them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go out searching for things. And so, yeah, I think that's very resonant.